You're listening to From Stillness, an audiobook for a mind in need of quiet. Something feels off, doesn't it? You can't name it, but it lingers. No matter what changes you try to make, you always end up circling back to the same doubts, the same distractions, the same restless thoughts. It's like being stuck in a loop that's just convincing enough to pass for reality. But what if it isn't real at all? What if you've been living inside an illusion this whole time? One built not by a cruel external force, but by your own mind? A mental architecture designed to protect you, comfort you, and quietly keep you asleep. This isn't science fiction. This is your everyday life seen from one step back. Every morning you wake up, and before you've even opened your eyes, a familiar voice resumes its monologue. You know the one. It tells you what kind of day you're going to have. It reminds you what to worry about. It labels, judges, compares, plans. It fills the silence with noise so quickly that you forget it's not you speaking. It's just the script running again. Most people never question the script. They never wonder who wrote it, or why it always plays the same story. They just live by it, reacting instead of responding, chasing instead of choosing, surviving instead of seeing. But here's the thing. The illusion only works when you don't look at it too closely. And today, that's exactly what we're going to do. Because the second you begin to see the illusion, something incredible happens. The cracks appear, the loops slow down, the noise fades, and in that space, that one still, quiet space between thought and awareness, you meet someone you haven't seen in a long time. Yourself. Not the version defined by roles or memories or fears, but the silent presence underneath all of it. The one who has been watching, patiently, waiting for you to wake up. This is the beginning of that waking. Have you ever wondered why change feels so hard? Not surface-level change like trying a new routine or reading a book that inspires you for a few days, but deep, lasting transformation. The kind that rewires how you think, feel, and move through life. The kind that makes you feel like you've finally broken free. Why does that kind of change seem impossible? It's not because you're lazy or lack discipline. It's not even because change itself is difficult. It's because you're trying to change while trapped inside the very thing that resists it most, your mind. Your mind is the greatest storyteller you'll ever know. It creates your version of reality, decides what to pay attention to, and filters every experience through layers of memory, fear, belief, and expectation. But here's the uncomfortable truth. That filter wasn't chosen by you. It was installed piece by piece, through your childhood, your culture, your pain, your habits, and the things you were told to believe before you ever knew how to question. So when you try to change your life, you're not starting fresh. You're negotiating with a system that was built to keep things the same. The mind doesn't want you to grow. It wants you to survive. And survival, to the mind, means staying in the familiar even if that familiar space is filled with anxiety, self-doubt, or quiet misery. Familiar patterns feel safe. Predictable pain feels safer than unpredictable possibility. So the moment you attempt something new, your mind triggers resistance. It distracts you. It doubts you. It tells you it's not the right time, that you're not ready, that you've tried before and failed. And if you believe it, you stay stuck. That's the hidden barrier. The illusion that your mind is a mirror of truth, when it's really a maze of conditioning. Until you see that, you'll keep blaming yourself for every failed attempt to change, without realizing the real battle was never with who you are, but with the lens you're seeing life through. But here's the turning point. The moment you become aware of the barrier, you've already begun to move beyond it. Awareness loosens the grip, and once you see the mechanism, it no longer controls you in the same way. Change doesn't begin with effort. It begins with seeing. Imagine waking up in the middle of a vast maze. You don't know how you got there. You don't remember choosing it. But for as long as you can recall, you've been wandering, turning corners, trying paths, occasionally spotting what looks like a way out, only to be pulled off track again. That maze is your mind. And the exits, those rare moments of clarity, peace, or perspective, are quickly hidden again by distractions. A thought, a worry, a craving, a flash of urgency. Suddenly, you're pulled back into the loop, and just like that, the clarity vanishes. Your mind doesn't want you to find your way out. It wants you to stay in motion. Not purposeful, directed motion, but mental busyness. Thought loops, emotional noise, constant stimulation. Why? Because stillness threatens the illusion. If you stop running, you might see the walls for what they really are. So it floods your attention with things to chase or fix. It tells you there's something urgent to check, something unresolved to worry about, something to achieve before you're allowed to rest. The moment you get close to noticing the pattern, it offers you a distraction dressed as a responsibility, a memory, or a craving for pleasure. That's the invisible program, a script running quietly in the background of your awareness. It's not evil. It's not even personal. It's just automated. Wired for repetition. Fed by the past. Your thoughts, your fears, your habits, most of them are echoes of things you never consciously chose. They were installed through years of experience, many of which you've forgotten. And until you start noticing the program, it runs your life. You'll keep reacting to triggers that no longer matter. Keep chasing goals that don't feel right. Keep numbing the quiet voice inside that's been whispering, "There must be more than this." There is. But to find it, you have to pause, to question, to feel the discomfort of stillness without reaching for a distraction. The exit isn't hidden. It's just been covered by noise. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you start seeing. You believe you're making choices, that you're the one behind the wheel, steering your life with reason, intention, and control. But take a moment. Have you ever tried to stop thinking? Not replace one thought with another. Not distract yourself, but truly stop the stream? You'll quickly notice the thoughts don't wait for permission. They appear uninvited, spinning narratives, reacting to memories, planning futures, criticizing, comparing, craving. They form without your say. They fade without your consent. And still, you claim them as yours. This is the illusion of free will, the belief that every choice, reaction, and emotion is consciously authored by you. But most of what you think or feel today was shaped long before now, by past experiences, by culture, by language, by childhood conditioning. The paths your thoughts follow were carved by repetition. And your reactions? Often rehearsed patterns from years ago, running on autopilot. What feels like choice is often habit. What feels like reason is often bias. And what feels like self-control is frequently just the absence of a trigger until life throws one at you. You didn't choose your fears. You didn't pick your insecurities. You didn't script the inner critic's voice, but you still believe it belongs to you. Here's the shift. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. The awareness behind the thoughts is not trying to control the mind, it's witnessing it. Silently, patiently, without judgment. And in that gap between the thought and the watcher lies a freedom far deeper than willpower. The freedom to stop being pulled by every mental impulse and to choose your response from a quieter place. The truth isn't hiding, it's sitting right in front of you. Always has been. But your mind, clever, restless, well-practiced, keeps looking everywhere else. It's not deception in the malicious sense. It's protection. Your mind learned early on how to keep you safe by predicting, preparing, preventing. So it builds a world of constant mental activity. Regrets about the past, worries about the future, comparisons with others, goals just out of reach. All of it designed to keep you in motion, never still long enough to notice the obvious. Because truth doesn't shout. It doesn't compete. It lives in the quiet, in the gaps between your thoughts, in the stillness you've been taught to avoid. And your mind knows, if you ever truly paused, even for a moment, the illusion would begin to crumble. That's why the distractions are endless. Notifications, conversations, background noise. Your mind would rather chase 100 problems than sit with one breath. Because awareness, real presence, burns through delusion like sunlight through fog. The mind keeps pulling you into the story. What happened, what might happen, what they think of you, what you need to fix. But what if none of that is actually happening right now? If you stop reacting, if you stop resisting, if you stop believing every thought as truth, something begins to shift. You begin to see that the mind is like a magician, keeping your attention on the wrong hand while the real trick happens elsewhere. The moment you stop falling for the trick, you start seeing through it. And suddenly, what once felt invisible becomes undeniable. Have you ever noticed how certain thoughts seem to recycle themselves, like a track stuck on repeat? The same doubts, the same anxieties, the same stories you've told yourself 1,000 times. It's not coincidence. It's not just habit. It's a loop, one your mind has memorized and clings to for dear life. That loop isn't based on truth. It's based on familiarity. To your mind, anything predictable feels safe, even if it's painful, even if it keeps you small, even if it undermines your potential every single day. Your brain has no interest in growth, only in control. And what's more controllable than a loop it already knows? So it feeds you the same thought. You're not enough. You always mess things up. Nothing will change. And because those thoughts feel familiar, they feel believable. That's the trap. Not because they're accurate, but because they're repeated. Repetition masquerading as truth. And here's the part most people miss. These loops don't need your permission. They run in the background like a script, activated by the smallest trigger, a glance, a silence, a tone of voice. Suddenly, you're not reacting to the moment in front of you. You're reacting to a story from years ago. But awareness is the disruptor. When you stop feeding the loop with attention, it weakens. When you say, there's that story again, instead of, this must be true, something shifts. It doesn't mean the thought disappears immediately, but you stop identifying with it. You stop obeying it. You begin to see the difference between what's playing in your head and what's actually happening around you. And in that space between thought and reaction, freedom begins. The moment you begin to see through the illusion, your mind doesn't quietly let go, it fights back. Doubts creep in. This is silly. I already know this. Nothing's going to change. These aren't random. They're defense mechanisms. Your ego, the mental construct of who you think you are, is designed to protect itself, and waking up threatens its very existence. The ego is built on stories. I am this kind of person. I've always done things this way. People see me like this. Those narratives form your identity, not because they're true, but because they've been repeated and reinforced. The moment you start questioning them, the ego panics. Not because you're wrong, but because you're getting close to something real. So it distracts you. It tells you there's nothing to see here. It floods you with thoughts, discomfort, or urgency. You suddenly feel the need to tidy something, reply to a message, fix a problem. That's not coincidence, it's a strategy. Your mind would rather keep you locked in patterns than let you dissolve the illusion of self. And here's the unsettling part. The ego isn't malicious. It's just afraid. It fears the unknown more than it fears your unhappiness. It would rather you remain anxious but familiar than peaceful but unfamiliar. That's why the early stages of waking up can feel disorienting. Because you're not just changing your thoughts, you're questioning the very foundation of your perceived identity. But if you stay with it, gently, patiently, the noise begins to lose its grip. The stories don't vanish, but they no longer feel like commandments. You see them as echoes, not essence. And in that moment, your true self, quiet, grounded, free, begins to emerge. Even when you begin to see the illusion for what it is, just thought patterns, just noise, something inside you hesitates. There's a quiet fear, difficult to name, but impossible to ignore. It's the fear of letting go. Not of letting go of something bad, but of letting go of what's familiar. Because the illusion, as limiting as it is, offers structure, predictability, a sense of self, even if it's based on old pain and borrowed expectations. The known, no matter how constricting, feels safer than the vast unknown of inner freedom. Your mind whispers, if I stop believing in all this, what's left? Who am I without my stories, my roles, my struggles? This is the ego's final trick. It convinces you that without it, there's nothing. That stepping beyond the illusion is like stepping into a void. But the truth is, it's not a void, it's space. It's stillness. It's where life begins, not where it ends. Real freedom means you no longer need to cling to a fixed identity. You don't need to explain yourself to yourself. You don't need to carry the past like armor or perform your value to the world. But that kind of freedom can feel terrifying because it requires trust. Trust in life, trust in awareness, trust that who you are is not a collection of thoughts, but the open space they pass through. Letting go isn't about losing who you are. It's about releasing who you're not. The masks, the patterns, the noise. And when you do, you don't vanish, you return. To something deeper, quieter, more whole. The part of you that was never confused to begin with. Waking up sounds like a beautiful idea until it happens. Because the truth is, awakening isn't a fireworks moment. It's a slow, uncomfortable peeling away of everything you thought was real. At first, it's disorienting. The stories you've lived by start to lose their grip. The voice in your head, the one that used to feel like you, starts to sound hollow. The roles you played, the worries you clung to, even the ambitions you chased with urgency, begin to feel strangely irrelevant. It's not that life stops. It's that the lens you've been using to view it starts to crack. And in those cracks, something else shines through. Clarity. You begin to notice the quiet background of your experience, the awareness that sees everything but doesn't chase anything. There's no narrative there, no anxiety, no control, just presence, just being. That's when the mind panics. It tells you to go back, that this is unsafe, that something must be wrong. But this resistance is not a warning. It's a sign you're leaving the illusion behind. The mind is losing control and it's scared. And if you stay, if you breathe through the confusion without running back to old habits, something profound begins to happen. You stop trying to be someone. You simply are. Thoughts come, but you don't grab them. Emotions rise, but you don't drown. Life flows, and for the first time, you flow with it, not against it. Awakening doesn't make you superhuman. It just makes you honest. Free from performance. Free from the weight of being who you thought you had to be. Freedom isn't found by running from life. It's found by walking through it awake. After awakening, people often expect everything to change. They imagine peace will replace pain, that thoughts will vanish, that life will suddenly be effortless. But life doesn't disappear when the illusion breaks. It simply becomes transparent. You still feel things. You still have bills, relationships, deadlines, and occasional storms. But now, they're no longer entangled with identity. A passing sadness is just that passing. A mistake is no longer a verdict on your worth. Your mind still thinks, but you don't believe every thought. You engage with life, but you're no longer consumed by it. This is the quiet strength of living beyond illusion, the ability to participate without being possessed. Freedom, it turns out, is not about escaping the human experience. It's about no longer being ruled by it. You can speak, act, work, love, but now from a place of stillness, not story. You can make decisions without being driven by fear, defend yourself without hostility, and care deeply without attachment. You begin to notice how most people are sleepwalking, lost in loops of thought and reaction, mistaking stimulation for meaning. But instead of judging them, you feel compassion, because you were once there too. And in that compassion, you learn to walk gently. Living beyond the illusion doesn't mean you never struggle. It means you're no longer defined by struggle. You see clearly, act consciously, and return again and again to the awareness that watches without grasping. And perhaps for the first time, life begins to feel whole. Not because it's perfect, but because you've stopped needing it to be. Beneath every thought you've ever had, behind every emotion that's passed through you, there's been something constant, steady, untouched. When you were 5, you had a different body, different interests, a different sense of self. At 15, again, new thoughts, new friends, new fears. Today, everything has shifted once more, and yet, you still feel like you. What is that you? It's not your name. That was given to you. It's not your beliefs. Those change. It's not your body. That's been transforming since the day you were born. And it's not your mind, because you've watched it contradict itself more times than you can count. The only part that hasn't changed, not once, is the awareness behind it all. The one that sees, the one that notices, the one that watches. That silent observer was there when you first felt joy. It was there when you made mistakes. It was there in heartbreak and in stillness. And it's here now, reading these words through your eyes. You can't name it. You can't hold it. But you can return to it. Right now. Just pause. Don't chase the next thought. Don't try to do anything. Just notice. That noticing, that's you. The more time you spend with it, the more reality softens. Not because life stops being hard, but because you've remembered something deeper than identity. You were never the noise. You were always the stillness underneath. If the truth is always here, within you, then why don't more people see it? Because distraction isn't just a bad habit. It's a system. One designed to keep you from noticing what's underneath the noise. Your mind is constantly pulling your attention outward. Not maliciously, but protectively. It dangles the to-do list, the notification, the unresolved problem. It tells you, we'll deal with the deeper stuff later. Right now, just handle this. But later never comes. There's always another worry, another task, another craving to soothe. So you stay locked in motion, not because you're lazy or weak, but because distraction feels safer than stillness. The mind believes that if you slow down, something will catch up to you, an emotion you've buried, a truth you've ignored. And so it keeps you busy. You scroll, you overthink, you plan every possible outcome, and underneath it all, there's a quiet resistance to stopping. Because stopping means feeling. It means facing the rawness you've been trained to avoid. But distraction doesn't liberate you. It numbs you. And it's only when you step out of it, even for a moment, that you begin to see. That still place beneath the noise? That's not emptiness. It's awareness. It's presence. It's home. And the moment you stop mistaking stimulation for aliveness, you begin to wake up. Your mind tells you that life is made of past and future. But if you pause and look closely, have you ever truly lived in either? The past is a story, replayed in your head, edited every time you remember it. The future is a projection, a mental film of what might happen, stitched together from old fears, old hopes. But life? It's never happened in the past. It never arrives in the future. It only unfolds now. And yet, the present moment is the one place your mind rarely allows you to be. It pulls you back into regret, pushes you forward into anxiety. It whispers, fix what went wrong. Prepare for what could go wrong. So you drift, living not in reality but in thought. But here's the truth. The past no longer exists. The future hasn't arrived. And even now, as you try to grasp it, has already moved. So what's real? Not the timeline, not the stories, but your awareness, the quiet presence that watches it all. When you anchor into that presence, you don't need to chase peace in some distant future. You realize it's available now in your breath, in your body, in the stillness beneath thought. This isn't philosophy, it's freedom. And the moment you stop postponing your life, the moment you stop waiting for everything to make sense, you finally start living. Thank you for being here. If something in today's reflection resonated with you, hold on to it gently. Let it settle. You don't have to rush to understand everything. Just keep noticing, keep returning, and in that quiet, you may find more truth than you were ever taught to expect. Until next time, take care and be kind to your mind.